Welcome! It's time to break down the rogue, and we are going to start with the attribute paths one by one, level by level. Let's do this! The first attribute path we're going to be talking about is Acrobatics, my favorite. This will grant you a lot more mobility and survivability. The first level is just a simple dodge roll. It will allow you to have a brief moment of invincibility. You can use this roll to get through enemies and traps, and the roll can also be used to negate a large amount of fall damage. Not all of it, but a good amount. The second level of Acrobatics will allow you to jump to cancel your dodge roll. Jumping out of the dodge roll will allow you to jump a full block higher as if you had high jump boots, and you will also gain the ability to grab walls and wall jump. No need for gloves. Level 3 of Acrobatics will grant you a base 17% chance to avoid any physical damage. That number will be higher if you have your luck stat up, as it will affect evade. And level 4 of Acrobatics will take that 17% chance to a 33% chance to avoid physical damage. With a good luck stat, you can bring that up to 50% chance to avoid damage. The second attribute path is Archery. Even if you don't use your bow too much, it's really helpful to make the bows easier to use. Level 1 of Archery will grant you the ability to strafe and jump while your bow is drawn, allowing you to back away to line up shots and jump to still dodge. Level 2 of Archery will allow your arrows to bounce off any surface once. This can be hard to use at first, but is really fun. It can really help you hit enemies before you aggro them. Archery level 3 will allow your arrows to pierce through one enemy, and they will deal an extra 15% damage. Level 4 of Archery will double the piercing and the damage boost, so pierce through two enemies and deal 30% more damage. This can really help later in the game when enemies are in bigger clusters, like in the catacombs. You can line up 3 zombies and hit all 3 of them with mass damage. Level 5 of Archery will let your arrows bounce many times, up to 5 times, from what we have seen depending on the bow you're using. This can be really fun in the catacombs and forest. This may be the rogue's strongest ability, since one arrow can hit multiple enemies or hit the same enemy 3 times. This combo is great with the Ring of Celtiok and High Luck. The third attribute path that the rogue has is Dagger. This will make daggers definitely the best melee weapon for you, but it may restrain you from using, let's say, a lifesteal sword, and if you're just starting to play the game, it'll restrain you from learning other weapon playstyles. Level 1 of Dagger is pretty simple. It gives you increased damage and critical chance with the Dagger. This scales really well with luck, as your crit chance will get very high with the Dagger. Level 2 of the Dagger skill will let you throw your dagger straight forward, I think about 3 blocks distance. The dagger will hit for half damage and then phase back to you. You're basically trading damage for range, but this can hit multiple enemies if they are lined up. And the last level of Dagger, level 3, your thrown dagger will now hit on its way back instead of phasing. This means you can deal full amount of damage in 2 small hits at a range, and you have a higher chance to get crits since it hits twice, but the crits will be slightly smaller. You can use this to keep enemies at a slight distance from you so you can kill them before they touch you. The last character specific attribute path for the rogue is Shadows. This will allow you to play a slower stealth style run, or be able to quickly run past enemies, skip most of the level, or speedrun. Level 1 of Shadows will give you the ability to become invisible to enemies by holding crouch for about 3 seconds. Touching an enemy, attacking, taking damage, and interacting with barrels or chests will break your cloak, and enemies will see you again. The bosses will still be able to find you, and the exception of a few enemies like the man-eating plants will always be able to smell you. Level 2 of Shadows will allow you to enter shadows twice as fast, and you will be able to open chests without uncloaking. This will allow you to run through the level and grab all the loot before you start to fight. Level 3 of Shadows will allow every attack that you make out of shadows to always crit. This can scale very well with luck, Dagger 1, and really any high damage weapon. And with level 3 you can also enter stealth while moving. This allows you to use it in the midst of combat really effectively for that crit. Stealth level 4 will cause your crits out of stealth to do even more damage, and when you enter stealth you release a cloud of smoke, so it's harder for enemies to track you if they've already seen you. My advice for starting with the rogue is to use the bow and dagger together. They combo really well. You can use the bow to get a heavy hit and stun the enemy, and then get 2 or 3 melee hits in depending on your dex. I always go into acrobatics first because it keeps you alive a little bit better than the other attributes. Then get archery level 1 so you don't get stuck with your bow drawn, so you can always move and always line up your shots. And I like to go into dagger 1 to have a stronger dagger, but I usually wait on that one in case I find another weapon. Try to shoot for high luck gear in a run like this because it will give you better crit and better evade. And if you end up running with a weapon like damage to gold, it will affect that chance based effect. Once you've made it over the dark caves and the forest a few times with the rogue, you get a pretty good idea of how to play with him. His playstyle doesn't really change that much once he starts to ball out of control. So just learn the basic playstyle. It's okay if you get stuck in the caves for a while because everything you learn there will transfer over to the later areas and even when you loot. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you can kick some more ass with the rogue now. Make sure to leave a like and a comment for some yummy feedback. Now go fight a lizard!